Warm greetings from the high 10s, everyday shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. Well, as most of you who have been following the very baffling, horrific shooting that took place, plural, in New York City, in a subway, Mr. Frank R. James, suspect who has been arrested and detained, appeared in federal court, and he's been held without bail. I guess the number one question at this point is, why did he do this? He had a YouTube channel. He was ranting and raving about the world, I guess, things he didn't like about the world, different things. One thing I noticed about his demeanor in the few short clips that I've watched him being walked to the police car and the YouTube videos, he was very nonchalant. It's as if nobody was saying anything of importance to him. I do believe I saw him roll his eyes while being escorted and inside of the court. I don't think he cared. I think that's common sense. He didn't care. But the one thing that's, I think, that's curious to me is, why did he turn himself in? Because he was wandering around the city. I'm trying to figure out, why did he turn himself in? That's the one question I have, considering the extra, I guess, artillery or whatever they found, other things. I'm just curious to what made him just in the shootings there in the subway. Not that I want him to go somewhere else and wreak havoc, but I'm just curious to what made him stop. Where did he go afterwards? Because they're saying they believe he rode the train after doing this. So he had to have gone somewhere. Where exactly? Because he's seen walking around the next day as if it's nothing. He also is the one that called 911 to tell them where they could pick him up. It's very baffling, because I just assumed this person would possibly kill himself, because most gunmen do this. They wreak havoc and then they kill themselves as not to be apprehended. But there's now commentary that says he didn't want to be caught, but yet he turns himself in. That makes no sense. I'm going to play Miss Banfield. She's going to give you, bring you information pertaining to that. I'm going to play 4 different audios pertaining to this very baffling story out of New York City. But the best part of the story is that he has been apprehended. He is in custody. He will not be getting out. He has no bail, and he will have to stand trial for his atrocities that he exacted on the civilians, citizens of New York City. Thank you all so much for joining me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Fox 5, New York. New York subway attack. Frank R. James held without bail as police seek motive. Thank you for joining me. Hello, everybody in the chat.
See on the screen right now, accused of opening fire inside a crowded rush hour subway train. He will be arraigned in federal court. That's 62-year-old Frank James. He was arrested by officers in the East Village yesterday afternoon. Fox 5's Briella Tomasetti live near the Brooklyn Federal Court in downtown Brooklyn with the latest. Briella.
Yeah, Reagan, good morning to you. And that's right. Frank James was taken into custody yesterday after police started getting phone calls and tips from people who thought they recognized him on the street. The ironic thing about all of this is that James actually called the Crime Stoppers hotline himself from an East Village McDonald's, and police say that may have ultimately led to his arrest. 62-year-old Frank James, the man accused of throwing smoke grenades and opening fire on a crowded rush hour N train Tuesday morning, was led out of the 9th Precinct station house by the NYPD and the FBI after a massive all-hands-on-deck 30-hour manhunt.
Literally, hundreds of NYPD detectives worked doggedly during the last 30 hours to bring this together.
Mayor Eric Adams, speaking via video link at a press briefing with law enforcement officials, had this reassuring message for his fellow New Yorkers.
We got it. We got it.
James was the sole suspect in the shooting at Sunset Park's 36th Street station, which sent waves of fear and panic throughout the city. He has 9 prior arrests in New York and is now facing federal terrorism-related charges. He could spend life in prison if found guilty. The NYPD says James, who also has ties to Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, rented this U-Haul van in Philadelphia on Monday night, drove it to Gravesend, Brooklyn, and parked it on Kings Highway the following morning. In this video, you can see him wheeling what appears to be a black cart down the sidewalk before boarding the N train.
This station is 3 blocks from where we recovered the U-Haul truck that he rented in Philadelphia. The key to that truck was recovered at the crime scene.
Detectives traced James's steps to 7th Avenue and 9th Street in Park Slope, but then he slipped under the radar. That is, until several Good Samaritans spotted the wanted fugitive walking down 1st Avenue in the East Village and called police.
I feel very happy because we catch this guy.
I saw him coming right at me, just a few feet away from me. And when I saw him, I knew it was him because I just studied the guy's face.
One thing's for certain, New Yorkers are breathing a collective sigh of relief knowing the suspected gunman has finally been brought into custody.
He didn't resist from what I saw, which I guess is the best case scenario. There were a lot of cops, but he seemed just didn't say anything.
That's a good thing for New York City.
Now, not only does James have 9 prior arrests here in New York, he also has 3 arrests in New Jersey for disorderly conduct and petty larceny. Certainly a very long rap sheet there. For now, that's very latest live here at the federal courthouse in Brooklyn. Briella Tomasetti, good day, New York. Reagan, we'll send it back inside to you.
All right, thank you, Briella.
All right, everybody, that's Fox 5 New York. So he had a lengthy arrest record, 9 arrests in the New York. I'm assuming that's New York City. I don't know if that's the entire state. Of what exactly? Larceny. I believe he's got burglary charges, sex crimes somewhere. Don't have the full scope of that. New Jersey. What was the motive for this? Now, he sat up in the box, such as myself, prophet of truth, or better yet, prophet of doom. People listen to him rant and rave. Was it their responsibility to alert authorities? Is it our responsibility to alert authorities? People talking, ranting, and raving. It depends on what you're ranting and raving about. It's only deemed necessary, I guess, to call authorities if you're threatening people. But you cannot like something or someone. Is your choice. Why did he turn himself in? I'm very curious. Where did he go afterwards? Where did he stay? He left his credit card behind at the scene, a gun behind at the scene, keys to the van. Why? Had he decided after doing what he did in that subway, I'm just going to go on and leave these things here because I'm not going to prolong this issue, have them hunt me down. Just going to walk around the city, ride the train until they recognize me. Basically, they have footage of him walking down the street with a mask on. I'm sitting here like baffled that he's just, as I said, he has a nonchalant attitude. It's like he's not even aware of what the hell's going on in the world, except for whatever the hell's going on with him, which he's self-serving. That's obvious. He's a self-serving individual. But how sick is he? Is he schizophrenic? What? Because he was meticulous in what he did. The fact that he ordered the gas mask. You know, it takes a couple days to get items in, depending on where you ordered the item from. So that shows premeditation and orchestration. It was planned. He went from state to state, doing little things along the way. And naturally, when they trace everything, they'll let us know all he's done in certain states as they get the information. But the fact that he was in Wisconsin a month ago, left there, went to Philly, bought the U-Haul in Philly. So you see, it's stair steps of orchestration. One city and state, you're ordering a gas mask. Next state, you're renting the truck. Next state, you're throwing smoke bombs at a train station. It's very baffling. But I want to know why he turned himself in. Why did he turn himself in? What was he doing after he left the subway station? Where did he go? Is it true that he was riding the subway around the city of New York while they're looking for him? Think about that for a second. Riding the subway that you just got off of, wreaking havoc, shooting people. You would be bold enough to go back into a damn subway and ride a damn train. You can't make this up. New York 4, Brooklyn subway shooting victim reacts to suspect's arrest from hospital bed. This was uploaded 3 hours ago. This is a young man who survived his injuries. He's alive today, and he's going to give his commentary. New York 4 is the source. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you.
For this week's subway shooting is now being held without bail tonight. Frank James faced a judge for the first time today, and prosecutors say he is the one who shot 10 people during the morning rush in Sunset Park, Brooklyn on Tuesday, unleashing the type of attack the city has not seen in decades. We have team coverage for you following the latest on the investigation. And News 4 investigative reporter Sarah Wallace starts us off from the courthouse in downtown Brooklyn. Sarah.
Well, and Adam, the federal court judge here ordered Frank James held without bail after prosecutors argued in court that he terrifyingly opened fire on subway passengers, interrupting their morning commute in a way this city hasn't seen in more than 20 years. The judge...
Frank, why'd you shoot all those people?
Federal prosecutors say this man, Frank James, carefully planned and premeditated his crime against subway riders on Tuesday. They noted in court papers the 62-year-old came to Brooklyn prepared with all the weapons and tools he needed to carry out the mass attack, including using a semi-automatic Glock to shoot 10 people after setting off smoke grenades. The chaos on an N train in the morning rush left 23 people injured, including Arraigned Gonzalez, shot in the leg. He's recovering in the hospital using crutches to move around. Today, the 18-year-old college student publicly thanked the Good Samaritan who helped Gonzalez get off the train.
Thank you so much, because you stepped up when no one else wanted to. Everyone else rushing off the train to save themselves.
Investigators quickly focused on James, who left a trail of evidence behind, including his gun, a key to a U-Haul he rented, and bank cards. Cops arrested him yesterday afternoon in the East Village without incident after he called Crime Stoppers. One of his federal defenders highlighted that fact this afternoon, cautioning against a rush to judgment.
What we do know is this. Yesterday, Mr. James saw his photograph on the news. He called Crime Stoppers to help. He told them where he was.
Injured subway riders just grateful the alleged attacker is behind bars.
I definitely feel a bit better knowing that the man is, the supposed suspect is captured and that he wouldn't be able to do it again.
Huari Benkata feels the same way. He was sitting right next to the shooter and also got struck by a bullet in the leg.
I get shot at the back of the leg, the back of my knee, and it comes out through the other side.
James, dressed in a beige prison uniform, did not say anything in court, but he did nod yes when the judge asked him if he understood the charges against him. Live from downtown Brooklyn, Sarah Wallace, News 4 New York.
All right, Sarah, thank you. So who is Frank James and why did he allegedly attack those people on the subway? Investigators are still piecing together the timeline here, trying to find out the motive. And News 4 Chief Investigative Reporter Jonathan Deans picks up our team coverage with the latest on the investigation. John.
Adam, investigators say the videos he posted online help show he's a man who was a lone actor with mental issues driven by anger and hate and who had a desire to kill. Today we're learning more about his arrest. Frank James called police himself. In addition to saying he was near a McDonald's in the East Village, he told police what he was wearing and told them he was carrying a green backpack. When they arrested him, he had a second Metro card on him, different from the one he used just before and after the Brooklyn attack. That is why police lost track of his movements, even though they now believe he continued to ride the subways until he was arrested. Even though he called police on himself, police were already in the area closing in after a man posted a sighting on Twitter and alerted officers. They were swarming the area looking for the shooting suspect when he called Crime Stoppers. Last night in a raid in Philly, the FBI searched a rental where James had been staying and a separate storage locker. There they found more ammunition and at least one more smoke canister. Officials say James rented that U-Haul in Philly and drove to New York with his weapons to carry out the attack. As for that gun on the subway, investigators say he had 3 magazines that held 30 rounds each, up to 90 bullets in all. He fired 33 shots and then the gun jammed, police say. One cell phone recovered at the scene. When he was arrested, he had a second cell phone that investigators did not know about. Otherwise, they would have tried to use its signal to track him. The FBI and police trying to get into those phones, but unclear if they've had any success. James declined to be questioned and asked for a lawyer. Some officials tell us they think one grenade might have accidentally been set off prematurely on that train, prompting James to begin shooting. This happening before, perhaps, reaching a higher profile target, perhaps in Manhattan. All that speculation by some officials at this point, because again, they say James is not talking. Jonathan Deans, News 4.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you. We may find out for sure soon enough. In the meantime, a lot of New Yorkers want to know what the MTA is going to do to try to stop something like this from happening again. Now, the MTA is now acknowledging surveillance cameras failed at the scene of Tuesday's shooting. They blamed it on wireless connectivity problems. And the chairman said today the MTA will soon be investing more money on more cameras across the network.
No excuses. We have to have these important security features working. But the important thing that cannot be lost is all our focus collectively ought to be on prevention.
Lieber there also pointed to the hundreds of camera images that did work, including these, showing the suspect, Frank James, apparently entering the system at Kings Highway. That video and several others were turned over to law enforcement to check out. And you can stay with News 4 as we follow the latest developments on the subway attack. Download the free NBC4 New York app, and you can sign up there to get breaking news alerts sent right to your phone.
NBC4 is the source. Let's go over what this source has said. Extra ammunition, 90 total, plus it was found. I believe this ammunition was found at the rental in Philadelphia at another storage unit. A separate cell phone, a separate transit card. So perhaps he knew he could be tracked. That's why he had another one. Very interesting information. Because I didn't know you could be tracked through those cards. I just figured you buy them wherever, currency exchanges or wherever in the city, get a card. I didn't figure you need to use ID or anything to buy, a transit card to track you. The fact that cameras weren't working, there'll probably be lawsuits later because the cameras weren't working naturally. The city of New York will be paying out some money. I won't doubt it. Very interesting information. Separate phone, separate transit card, 2 transit cards, 2 phones. He was prepared. A rental. I saw the outside of it. It looks like a row house, Philadelphia. Another storage unit. How long was he living in the rental? How long did he have the storage unit? Still, why did he leave behind the keys to the van, the Glock, and the credit card? Which leads one to think he knew he wasn't going to be walking around long. Because why would you leave your credit card? But then yet, I have information that says he didn't want to get caught. So why'd you leave your credit card behind then? Your gun, your credit card, keys to the van. Maybe he figured no need of taking the keys in because they may recognize me by the time I return the van. But you'll need your credit card. You didn't kill yourself. You're walking around the city, got to eat. You had to sleep somewhere. But like I said, they're saying he rode the subway. I can't get over that. Goes into a subway, wreaks havoc, comes out of the subway to then go back into the subway again and ride the train all damn day and night until daylight time, walking around in the city. This is crazy to me. Because see, that is the whole point. Why you need your cameras working, see. You probably would have caught him soon after he did what he did. But you didn't have them working. So now you probably have to pay the piper to those civilians that were injured, shot by Mr. James. And one might question, did he really intend to harm the people? Because it seems like some of the injuries were, not to be, derogatory, but shot in the legs. I believe there was more than one person shot in the leg. So one would say, well, was he really serious about shooting and really wanting to kill them? Why not in the chest? In the head? Just saying. Because if you think about all the injuries, all the people are alive. Now, it's not to say that you can't die from an injury being shot in the arm or leg, especially if it hits a vein. You bleed out. This is very interesting. Gun jammed. Maybe it scared him to get out of here. Exit out. Nobody even knew where he went. It's just a very strange story to me. And the walking around the city a day later is baffling to me, considering he could have went anywhere. Boarded a train out of New York. Just walking around as if he wanted to be apprehended. Very interesting information. No bail, faces life in prison. And you heard the public defender say, don't rush to judgment. What does that mean? That what? He's not the guy? Or don't judge him because although he did a terrible thing, he did turn himself in a day later. Depends on your perception. How you feel about what he did. And is it our responsibility, once again, to save the world from watching people rant and rave, cuss and fuss on social media platforms, go off? And it's also commentary. In this commentary, you'll hear that some people don't find it kind, people aiding people like him going on and on, fussing. Because I thought about that tonight before going live. People who are laughing at people who cuss and fuss and go off all day. Are you now a party to the madness as well for watching the content? Laughing at the jokes and the commentary, laughing at the people going off cussing and fussing. Are you a part of the madness? Because now commentary is, well, you watched it when he was on YouTube. You didn't do anything. You didn't call the police. You didn't complain. You didn't flag his channel. So are we responsible for people ranting and raving? Should we call officials because somebody's mad at the world? Bitching, moaning. Just a question. News Nation is the source. NYC subway suspect revealed plans in YouTube videos. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $Beganji, 129 Cash App. All super chat to welcome during the live. Thank you for following the content. God bless all of you.
Fire, they say, on a subway full of people in Brooklyn is now in federal custody. Police say James donned a gas mask and threw smoke bombs before opening fire and injuring almost 30 people on a subway train in Brooklyn yesterday. Police finally caught up with James earlier today after he himself called in a tip that led them to New York's East Village. A witness shot this video when the arrest happened.
I think they just caught the son of a from the subway right now. I just saw him walking behind me, and he was mumbling and saying about the FBI. And literally, I was telling my wife, I think that's him, walk faster. And she was like, no. I'm like, yeah, it's him. And there they are. They got him. Son of a... Him. Here he is. They just caught the son of a...
Our affiliate, WPIX, spoke with another man who spotted James and flagged down the police.
We wasn't here in the corner, and we wasn't work here security cameras, and we see that guy. We was so confused. This guy of now, and I told, you know what, this is the guy. I told the amigo, this is the guy. He have bag and he was walking like this, and I told the people, yo guys, keep far from him. Like maybe he's gonna do something. He have a small bag. Maybe he have something inside gun or whatever. I don't know. I told him, guys, just be careful. Keep space, you know. And it was like so amazing. And I see the police here car. I thought the police, yo, this is the guy. People was thinking I'm like this is crazy. I don't speak like right. Like I told him, this is the guy. Trust me, guys. And we catch him. Thank God.
James now faces one count of violating a federal statute that prohibits terrorist and other violent attacks against mass transportation systems. He makes his first appearance in court tomorrow, and he is facing life in prison if he is convicted. And while the manhunt may be over, there are a lot of other important questions that still need to be answered, especially since James left hours and hours of video evidence behind. Videos like this extended rant.
You know, I've noticed that my numbers have been going down, you know, on YouTube here recently, you know, maybe over the last couple of days, because, you know, they have been staying pretty steady. You know, I don't get that many views anyway, you know, and I don't care. I know they got me hemmed up, but it's okay. You know, if I have 2 people watch my videos, I'm cool with that. I'm not tripping off numbers and none of that. But it's interesting how they went, you know, how far down they've gone over my last couple of videos. And I think it has to do with what I'm talking about. And I really can't blame people not wanting to hear what I'm talking about. I really cannot be, I'm not mad. I wouldn't want to hear it either. I wouldn't want to hear it either. But then they forget my name. They forget now this is the Prophet Truth channel. This is Prophet Truth channel, but I am the Prophet of Doom. That's my original name, the Prophet of Doom. That's what I'm calling myself stepping on YouTube. What do you think that's a So what do you want from me? Doomsday is actually about to be here. We're actually about to experience Doomsday. So of course, why would you want to watch and listen to Prophet of Doom? Not mad at you one bit. But I'm going to talk about it because it has to be talked about. We need to know why we're going to die. We need to know why we're going to be destroyed.
I'm joined now by Jason G. Weiss. He is a retired FBI supervisory special agent, and currently he's a cybersecurity attorney at the law firm of Faegre, Drinker, Biddle, and Reith. Okay, wow. So I literally just heard the words, we're about to experience doomsday. The viewers all heard those words too, Jason. So that sounds like a slam dunk unless someone like Mr. Frank James decides to mount an insanity defense. I can spot a million reasons why there's no hope in you-know-what for an insanity defense. But tell me where this investigation goes from here.
You know, first of all, Ashley, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This is a really difficult case because we don't generally prosecute words in this country. And there are a lot of people who are, you know, I'm trying to be gentle here, mentally upset on the internet. I mean, the question has to become, obviously, why did somebody who see these videos report these videos to law enforcement? And if so, what could have been done to prevent this attack? So what happens next is really, like everything else we do, unfortunately, in law enforcement, it has to be a retrospection. We have to look back on what happened and see how we can try and change our tactics. But the biggest problem we have in law enforcement is we're far too reactive and not nearly proactive enough.
So, look, I get it. I've covered a gazillion and one cases where mental illness is part of the story. I dare say if you were to go through any prison in America, you'd probably see about 80% of the inmates have some form of mental illness, but it is not an excuse, and you can be bat blank crazy and not be legally insane. And that man on the screen said, we're about to experience doomsday. And he also said in another video, I want to just kill a whole bunch of people, but I don't want to go to prison. That is consciousness of right and wrong.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. But the problem we have here in this country is the internet's like the Wild West. Who are the internet police? I mean, who should have caught these videos and tipped off law enforcement to stop this? Should it have been YouTube or Facebook? They run their algorithms, but they obviously didn't catch it. What about all the people watching the videos and nobody reports this? I mean, that is part of the problem is we just don't have a good way to track people on the internet between terrorism. When I was in the FBI after 9/11, people said, why did we stop 9/11? Because there were thousands upon thousands upon thousands of tips that we got that there would be terrorist attacks. How do you know which ones are real, which ones are not? And there's no doubt that this gentleman is mentally insane and should go to jail for the rest of his life for what he's done.
You said mentally insane. There's a difference. And you know it well. You're an attorney. You know, being, like I said, being really crazy is not the same as being legally insane. And I have seen extraordinarily sick people convicted, and they do not prevail when they mount an insanity defense, because you have to know the difference between right and wrong, or you have to not know the difference between right and wrong, as well as some other factors in order to prevail. For this guy, he's all over the map saying, I don't want to get caught, I'm going to obscure, I'm going to hide my face, I'm going to run for it. All of these reasons just throw insanity, farther than, the eye can see. But I do have this question.
I agree.
I want to play a video where he details all of his movements, Jason. He talks about everything he's going to do leading up to the attack. He talks about specific places that he's visited. It's just like a treasure trove of something awful is going to happen, and here I am. Have a look at it. I'm going to ask you about it on the other side.
I'm assuming you heard the news.
Ooh, sorry about that.
Pregnant. Are you sure?
Had to get their money.
Have a look at it. I'm going to ask you about it on the other side.
Sure. So I made it here, and now I got to try to make it to my next stop, which again is this town. I can't think of it. I'm not even going to try to get name it. Caledonia or some shit. It's right outside of Pittsburgh. I'm going to stay at a hotel out there for the night. And then I plan to not even go all the way to Philly. No, I'm not going to even try that. I'm going to get close to it. Drive close to it, spend the night in the hotel, and then the next day I'm going to start unpacking my shit and all of that, and then go to the other place I'm be staying. So I'm staying in these same hotels while I'm traveling these 2 more nights.
Okay, Jason, I think the viewers who are watching would have the same question I do, and that is, if he's detailing his plan, are the people who watched that and sat back and did nothing in trouble? Do you have a duty to report?
That's a great question. A lot of that's going to be jurisdictional, depending on where. Because first of all, where are these people located? What are the accessory laws? I mean, that's a great question. They certainly have a moral duty to report. I think as a human being, I think that's something they should have reported. Whether they have a legal duty to report, I don't know if that's a question we can unpack in a short segment, because there's so many different factors that have to be weighed and balanced. But at the end of the day, the problem is saying stuff like this is not in and of itself a crime. So let's assume that somebody does report.
But I'll tell you what, I think you're right about the moral part, but I think legally, you don't have a duty to report. You don't. You should, but you don't, unless you're a public official. So I'd be curious to find who all his followers are, to find out who was watching, to find out who consumed that garbage and decided it was A-OK, or God forbid, spurred him on. Hello, Michelle Carter is the only thing I can say there. Because if anybody else spurred that business on, I think they do have some trouble. But that's just me in the cheap seats. Jason Weiss, thank you.
No,
I
I think
appreciate
you're right on
your wisdom on this. Yeah, give me one last comment on it.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for having me, Ashley. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm going to have you back because I think this is an ongoing conversation when the feds start looking through the hours and hours of video. And I'll tell you, Jason, we didn't even have the time to download it all before, poof, the YouTube channel was gone. We got as much as we could, but you know that there are agents who right now are poring over all of it. So anybody out there watching right now, if you had a piece of this, you're going to be hearing from somebody in a dark suit sometime soon. Jason, thank you again.
Sure. Thank you, Ashley.
So thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below.
News Nation. So, what's your obligation to people who are exacting harm to other people on social media? Ranting and raving, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Did the people take him serious? That's the question. Did somebody's think he was actually going to do something to someone? Plural. We didn't hear all of the content, so we can't actually say because we didn't hear all of the video to see how he formed the commentary. Now, you hear him saying, I'm going to stop here, sleep here, go over here, go here, not go into here. So was he actually laying out, hey, tomorrow I'm going to go do this over here, blow this up, do this, shoot people? Did he say it like that? Or just said, I'm the prophet of doom, and doomsday's on its way, and then I'm going to go travel here, stay in a hotel, then I'm going to go over here, stay in a hotel, then I'm going to unload my stuff? Was he talking around the subject? Because see, there's a difference between saying, tomorrow at 12:05, I plan on getting on a train and shooting everybody on a train. It's a difference between saying, tomorrow's doomsday or doomsday's on its way. And as I said, whoever was listening, did they take him serious? He already said his views went down. So possibly people just watched, became annoyed or perturbed by whatever he was saying, and they stopped watching. So they didn't care. Is he insane? Joe, just some mad person. Somebody mad at the world. Will some people be getting a visit from the guys in the suits for patronizing his channel? My. So I sit here thinking about that. So when I sit here and listen to a certain person on the wire that rants and raves and goes on and on for hours talking about absolutely nothing, maybe the suits will be paying that person a visit because they don't talk about anything on YouTube. They talk, cuss, fuss, name call all the time, every day. But yet they have a channel. YouTube gets rid of it, then they upload another channel. So how's it different? So you have to stay woke. Because YouTube does allow a lot of foolishness up here. And everybody may not be in agreement of every person's channel, what they're talking about, or agree with how they bring the information, relay the information, the subject matter. But there's a lot of things up here that's derogatory, and YouTube lets it slide. And frankly, Mr. James' channel, obviously nobody cared about what he was talking about because it was up until he became a suspect. So that should tell you something. So will YouTube change its policy pertaining to what you can and can't say? Just saying. Facebook, same thing. TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat. What will be the norm? What you can say and can't say. Subject matters. Delivery. So I brought you News Nation pertaining to the plans that Mr. James revealed. I brought you information of a young man that's in the hospital, his reaction to Mr. James being arrested. New York 4. Brought you information from Fox 5 about his arrest and not having bail. My last commentary will be Fox News. How is this guy not on the FBI's radar? Because in the beginning, it was said that he was, but then during the press conference, one of the law officials said that that was inaccurate. He was not on the FBI's watch list. Are there more Franks out here that are waiting to pop off? Have we been listening to some Franks and we just ignore them because we say, oh, he's crazy, she's crazy, don't listen to them, they're not well. Just ignore them until it's too late. Is that what has happened here? That people were listening, but they tuned out. Fox News is my last source. Thank you for joining me.
Police have arrested Frank James. This is the guy accused of unleashing hell on a crowded subway yesterday morning, shooting 10 and injuring 23 in a flurry of gunfire and smoke bombs. The shooter called the police on himself as he calmly strolled around the city for 29 hours, even popping into a McDonald's. Just got a number 3. They took him into custody without a fight. Police have not yet released a motive, but here at Primetime, we've been doing some investigating and found some very disturbing videos on his social media pages where he's just spewing black nationalist ideology. Quote, white people and black people, as we call ourselves, should not have any contact with each other. In another video, he said, a factory reset on humanity is needed in order for you to have any thought of having a effing future. There are people, white people in this country, because I'm getting tired of you, and I'm black. He continued, quote, I am so happy, I have a sense of joy. I've seen a side to human beings, and they need to die. They need to suffer and drop effing dead. He went on to celebrate the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown, but the fact that she was married to a white guy made him furious. Quote, yeah, our black sister, Supreme Court Justice, power to the people, is married to an effing white man. I don't believe this bleep. In one video, he can be seen outside screaming at unsuspecting people just walking down the street. Quote, F you and your white ass too.
Oh my
you
gosh.
White racist mother effer.
Wow.
You're something less than human today. You shouldn't even exist. You're a
goodness.
crime against effing nature, you Spanish-speaking mother effer.
Ooh.
For years, this freak was letting the world know his deepest, darkest thoughts. And big tech never flagged it. They consider themselves the speech police of what's right and wrong to post. Saying gender is real is considered hate speech online. But kill whitey is just fine? And of course, this guy, Frank James, has a long rap sheet.
His arrest history in New York is 9 prior arrests, dating from 1992 to 1998. Those include possession of burglary tools 4 times, criminal sex act, theft of service 2 times. He was arrested on a New Jersey warrant. He also has a criminal tampering. He has 3 arrests in New Jersey in 1991, 1992, and 2007. They are for trespass, larceny, and disorderly conduct.
That arrest record, combined with the years of twisted videos, how was this guy not on the FBI's radar?
There has been some reports that FBI holdings to date
had a tie to Mr. James. I want to be very clear that to date, we have found no record of an investigation of Frank R. James by an FBI office before the shooting yesterday. Reports that FBI's New Mexico field office previously investigated him are inaccurate.
The FBI has been busy framing Trump and militia kidnappers, missing dangerous radicals just right under their nose. If you watch the mainstream media, you'd have no idea black nationalists even exist. As soon as the press realizes the attacks don't fit their narrative, they bury the story. Remember the Waukesha massacre, where Darrell Brooks rammed his SUV through a Christmas parade, injuring 62 and killing 6? Brooks also has a lengthy record and shared plenty of posts on social media calling for violence against white people, saying Hitler was right, and comparing cops to the Klan. We reached out to the FBI to see if they figured out what his motive was for plowing down innocent civilians. And the FBI referred us to local authorities who haven't gotten back to us. Last April, Noah Green rammed his car into 2 officers at the nation's capital, killing one of the officers. He was a follower of that outspoken anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan. And in Louisville, Quintez Brown, who was once honored by Barack Obama and made appearances on MSNBC, was arrested for trying to assassinate a Jewish mayoral candidate, Craig Greenberg. A local BLM chapter bailed him out soon after, posting 100 G's. He supported armed militant groups online and talked about revolutionary communism and black nationalism. And these are far from isolated incidents. Corey Ali Muhammad, David Anderson, and Micah Xavier Johnson all had ties to black nationalism and all murdered many in their cities. The FBI failed to stop any of these people, and the media refuses to cover the story. To them, the only domestic terrorists wear red hats.
That's why I've said I don't really think there are 2 parties in this country anymore. One is a semi-governing party called the Democrats, and the other is a dime store front for a terrorist organization called MAGA. That is the real problem here. It's no longer about lies and disinformation. It's about having our sitting government take an active role in controlling dangerous people who do not believe in democracy anymore.
Political correctness is putting lives in danger. The media is completely ignoring black nationalism. There's only room for white nationalism in their coverage because they need to keep the Democrat base scared and the country divided. The press is just a political chop shop. We know their motivation. But big tech is letting black nationalism spread across the internet. These CEOs need to answer why. If you can't get banned for posting a funny meme about Hillary, but you don't get knocked off for death threats, who's running your programs on the back end? Black nationalism is a serious threat, and our FBI just keeps dropping the ball. Why? The FBI director needs to answer questions under oath about this, because the Bureau's priorities are out of whack.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here.
Well, Fox News, many people probably stunned I even played Fox News, but I saw this in here, not really knowing the content. I didn't preview it first, but everyone's entitled to his or her opinion. This is basically why he wasn't on the radar. Well, probably because if he hadn't threatened anyone directly, hey, I'm going to go do this to you tomorrow. Hey, I'm going to go do this. Is possibly why. As far as black nationalism, that's the eye of the beholder. People are entitled to have their opinion. Whether you're black, Hispanic, whatever. People talk about other races all the time, what they don't like about them. People don't like skinny people, fat people, tall people. Do you understand? It's your perception. It's what you take in, digest. I always tell you all. What you put in your brain. See, I don't dwell on any of that. I'd rather be a white man talking bad about black people, a black man talking bad about white people. I don't lose any sleep on any of that. Because I have other things I indulge my time in. Maybe that's why the FBI is not focusing on it. Because possibly they just don't care. It's not something they want to dwell on. And that's the thing about the human mind. Sometimes people just talk to talk. They rant and rave, but they wouldn't bust a grape. And possibly that's what happened with this guy. Mr. James. Nobody took him serious. Nobody thought he would do anything, hurt anyone. But he did. You've seen that growing up. The guy, girl with the loudest voice, mouth, bullying people. But in the end, they couldn't bust a grape. This man waited to be 62 years of age to do what he did, which is very odd for the age. 62 years of age, you're willing to forfeit your own future, what future you have left, of course, and your livelihood, freedom, because you're angry with races and this and that. I think he was just angry, period. He had a lot of things he ranted about, I believe. Not just race, but whatever he didn't like. And he's not the only one that does this, rant and rave on social media about what he doesn't like about the world. He possibly didn't like himself. Maybe he thought he had reformed himself, changed, but really deep down inside, he was just a bitter man. He is a bitter man. He's not the only person that's bitter. A lot of us can be bitter about certain things or everything. It's just a matter of who's willing to tolerate you. See, that's what the world's about. Tolerating what you will tolerate. And as you see, YouTube allowed him to rant and rave. They only took the channel down until he became a suspect or person of interest. So that should tell you something. And the FBI probably didn't waste their breath because at the time they didn't see anything worth reacting on. But who knew he was actually going to go and do what he did? That's the point. You have people who don't announce things and they go shoot everybody at the job, go in a house and kill the whole family, go in a crowded place, venue, shoot at people, or mow them down in a car. How in the world would you know that? Because some people are quiet. What's the motive? Why did Mr. James go into that subway car and shoot those people and let off a smoke bomb? Why? Who is he actually angry with? Does he feel vindicated? Does he feel better about what he's done? As I said, looking at him walk in and out with law officials, he doesn't seem perturbed at all. Frankly, he seemed annoyed that they were even in his peripheral, although he's the one that called. And why is he not telling the world why he did this? Got a lawyer, but he refuses to speak. Why? Why is he refusing to speak? You turn yourself in, but yet now you don't want to talk. So are you just going to wait till you go to court to talk? Are you going to speak in court? Will you testify, sir? Or are you going to leave us hanging wondering why? Who will be the first one to get that exclusive interview? Will he speak to a news source? Where is the family, friends, co-workers? How was he paying for these different hotel rooms, allegedly, that he was going to be hopping from place to place before he went in that subway? How long did he live in that rental in Philadelphia? How long was he living in Philadelphia? How long did he have the storage unit in Philadelphia? How long was he living in Wisconsin? Where was he before Wisconsin? See, 1,000 questions you can ask. Because he was obviously a busy bee. Extensive criminal record, 9 times arrested in New York, New Jersey. The sex crime, what is that about? Very curious to know. Who and what is the charge? And how much time did he get? And will that victim come forward to say what happened? And then anybody who's involved in any other crimes that involve larceny, burglary, will they come forward and tell us any information? Who is Frank R. James? When I look at the word, his name rather, it seems like a made-up name, like the way scammers, foreign countries make up names and profiles for people. That's what I think of. Because the first thing I said is, that name can't be real. That doesn't sound like a real name. Perhaps it is. I don't know. We'll see. No FBI watch. It's on YouTube, ranting and raving. Where else did he rant and rave? Facebook? Twitter? Does he have children? Is he someone's father? Where are his parents? Are they alive, deceased? Brothers, sisters? Who will bring us the story of Frank R. James and tell us who he really is? That he's been ill for some time. The fact that a few people have said they saw him talking to himself. Very interesting. It has been said he was talking to himself on the train before he smoked everybody out, started shooting. Walking down the street, he was talking to himself after the fact, next day, before he got apprehended by NYC police. And everybody knows talking out loud, rambling. Many may say, oh, you're not well when you're talking to yourself. It's only when you answer you're deemed not well. People talk out loud all the time. We talk to the TV. We talk when we get up out of bed, rushing to get ready. Oh, I got to pick up my shoes. Oh, I got to get my purse. Oh, I forgot to get my notebook. Everything's about perception. I know I talk out loud to myself all the time, especially when I look at certain things that's outrageous. Talking to myself, all I could do. And especially watching this jukebox up here, one could definitely become acquainted with oneself talking out loud. Look at this mess here. Because it's always something in the queue and in the world and in the news to talk to oneself about or talk out loud. Because there's always something going on. It's a never-ending battle. As they say in the street, survival of the fittest. And that's where we are. You don't know people. There's no such thing as knowing people. And you have people who will argue you down about what somebody did or said, and he or she's a great guy, and oh, I like him, and you like him. Doesn't mean I have to like him. Because that's the whole point. What's good for you may not be good for me. And we have to stop upholding people because somebody else likes them. Who's going to tell the real story about Mr. James? Will he have friends and family come out and tell us who he is and what he's been about and what he's been doing the past 30 or 40 years with his time? Disorderly conduct. Was that him ranting and raving, cussing and fussing, talking out loud? Possibly so. Does he act out when things don't go his way? Fussing and fighting, cussing people out? He possibly has a mental disorder. But it won't matter with these videos going to a national level, people hearing what you had to say and calling yourself prophet of doom. You're basically saying, this is what I'm going to do. Get ready. The interesting thing about him saying that is that he said we are all going to experience doomsday. But yet, he's still alive, talking, not hurt, not injured. So it's interesting he would put himself in the mix of saying we're all going to die. But yet, he didn't die. He's alive and well in a New York City jail. And I don't even think he cares. From what I've seen on video hours ago, Mr. James is far gone. He doesn't care about any of this because he's been checked out. And I think that's obvious. Anyone who's paid attention to his demeanor when he was in handcuffs and standing in that courtroom, standing before the judge, he was oblivious to anything anybody had to say. Because as I said, Frank R. James has checked out a long time ago. A long time ago. Who will get the reward since a few people are now saying they saw him on the public street. Because he did turn himself in. And naturally, he can't collect the reward. So will they give the reward to the people who called in saying they spotted him? We will see. I want to thank you all for joining me. Want to get more information pertaining to this very intriguing, baffling, horrific story, I will give you an update. And I just saw in the queue that the Petito case has pressed forward into the judicial system, and they will be in court, I guess going toe-to-toe with the Laundrie family, because they are suing them in a civil suit of having knowledge that their son murdered their daughter. I will bring you commentary about that hopefully later Friday. You all have a safe weekend. Happy Easter to all of you. Mind the children. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Prayers for New York City, because they're going to need it really bad. What will they do with the transit system now? Will they upgrade their camera system, make sure everything's a go? Will they have city cops on the outside of the subway, down in the subway, and also riding the cars and walking the planks? What will happen? Because they now are saying they have an uptick of crime in New York City, especially in the subway. So will they hire officers to work underground specifically to curb the crime that they're having? It is sad when one can't even ride the train, go into the subway, or climb the racks to get up, catch the train. I think back to 2016, when I got back from Chicago. There was a story that aired as soon as I got back about a couple. It's a black couple talking about their life one night on Lakeshore Drive on the north side of Chicago, sitting on a bench, I guess, and they were accosted by some young people. They got scared, of course, took off running because they saw these groups of guys or whomever coming toward them. So they feared for their safety, and they took off running. Unfortunately, they ran across the interstate, which is very dangerous. And I believe the girl got hit by a car. The girl or the guy got hit and died. The gist of the story is that the same group is believed to have been terrorizing people in the subway, because they had surveillance of a group of people that looked similar to that group that were in the park accosting this couple. And that's the sad thing about life, is that life is short. I just left the city burying my father, and here I am. I wasn't even home, probably not even 2 days. And I'm listening at a terrible story of a couple who had just got engaged, and one of them died running across the interstate, being chased by these group of misfits who were believed to have been harassing people in the Chicago subway on the south side of Chicago. You see, there are people who don't have anything better to do, and they don't care about life. And it's sad that people can't ride the bus, ride the train without worrying about being accosted by one person or more. And lots of people live in the city, and they depend on public transportation. And it's a shame if you don't feel safe riding the bus or the L. But that's the chance you take, because there are a lot of ill people living in major cities. You see, small towns like where I live, it's not like living in Chicago or Philadelphia or New York. millions of people are jumping on subway, as they said, at least 3 million in New York City. So imagine, probably half of those people are not mentally stable. And you're down there in the subway with them, or up on the tracks with them, waiting to board a train, sitting beside them on the train. God forbid one of them decides to go off, stab you, choke you, rob you, because you don't know people. You don't know people. And that's the thing about life. You don't know people. Every day you walk outside your door, you take a chance at getting harmed. Work, school, church, neighbors, neighborhood, public stores, it's all the same. You don't know the hour something bad is going to happen to you. Prayers for NYC and the victims and all those who were on that train and in that subway. God bless everybody. When I get more information to the storyline, I'll bring it to you. Have a safe weekend and happy Easter to all of you. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you.